Hello and welcome to the Walk in Love podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Brooke.
And today we are going to talk about my trip to Integrated. Thank you for listening and thank you for making us a part of your week. And thank you for shopping the Speak Life collection, which is still available. And you can use either the code HOTDOG or Brooks Right.
Mm-hmm. Do you know which code is winning? Have you checked?
I have not checked.
Okay. Well, I mean, we all know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we all know
which one do you think's winning?
Brooks Right.
Well, then that's probably right.
Yeah.
At checkout, and you save a little extra as a thank you for listening to the podcast. I've never said that within the first minute of an episode. I usually bury it a little deeper, but I'm just going for it. My mom also said, TJ, good job just telling people to buy a t-shirt if they listen. She's like, I bought 2. So one of you is off the hook, although my mom does get a very, very, very lucrative discount. So it's almost like she bought 0. So, you know, we make a big ask at collection time because we don't do sponsored content. We don't do ads on the podcast. We don't do ads on the YouTube of the podcast. Mm-hmm. We don't do Patreon. There's a lot of things that we don't do because you guys buy t-shirts and sweatshirts when collections are live. And so we're asking you to do that now. And if the t-shirt or the sweatshirt is just outside your budget, we also made a digital download of all the designs for phone and desktop wallpapers. Mm-hmm. So if the t-shirt is just out of reach, and the desktop it's $10. That's another good way to just say, hey, thanks for the podcast. Thanks for doing what you do. You can go and buy that.
I'm surprised at how much I liked the desktop ones, and I know not everybody.
You swooned over them.
I did. Well, I'm looking at one of yours right now over on that screen. I don't know. I guess I'm always on my phone, or when I go to my desktop finally, which I know not everybody even has a desktop anymore, but we're like big desktop users.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. I kind of forgot I could change the background.
Yeah.
And then with me? No. I'm actually not. I'm not super challenged when it comes to tech.
No.
I feel like I do know most things and figure out most things like pretty quickly, pretty well.
Yep.
But
you're not like a tinkerer. You're not like, oh, let me change my wallpaper and my background and
right.
You don't you use the tools for what they are. You don't dive any deeper.
No.
Because every little trick, what's funny, because you use one for editing photos, and you told me yesterday, I still use this program called Batch Plus.
Uh-huh.
And it's
for over 10 years.
And you wouldn't have found that.
No, it's like a Photoshop plugin.
And I don't even think you can find it anymore.
I don't know if they still make it. I've had friends text me, hey, do you still have your Batch in your Dropbox? Can I have it?
Because it's like, sure. An old school. I mean, a lot of programs do what it does, but you've just grown so accustomed to it. But yeah, you're not one to be like, I'm going to.
No, I'm never figuring out oh, this widget does that. Yeah. And this. Now, keyboard shortcuts, that's one thing I'm still into.
You're still, Your keyboard
I'm
shortcut
still
game is strong?
It's decently strong.
Stronger than ever?
No, definitely not stronger than ever. I think the strongest was my peak when I was really good at editing with Final Cut. Yeah. And I knew all the shortcuts in there.
Wow.
So I barely get to touch my mouse. And it was
wow.
Click, click, click. And I just moved everything around.
Wow.
Anyway, I was not expecting to do a segment on keyboard shortcuts, but here we are.
So collection is live through the 31st, aka September 1st, by the time I wake up, which now that we live in Hawaii gives you East Coasters a lot longer to get in your last minute orders. And it would just mean the world to us if you guys bought a t-shirt or a sweatshirt or a digital download pack or whatever. And as a way, stickers. And as a way of saying thank you for listening to the podcast, use the code HOTDOG or Brooks Right. It's crazy how I've gotten so used to the ridiculousness of the codes that I don't even I can say them with use the code HOTDOG to save 15% on checkout. It doesn't even faze me anymore because I know that
it's so ridiculous.
There's more ridiculous ones to come.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. And thank you for all of you who have shopped. The one collection sort of update that I'll give on the podcast is that the Joy Comes in the Morning, ivory mid-weight tee We had very, very limited larges in that, and they sold out within minutes. And so we're looking for another option in that like mid-weight flavor. It might just be different. It's just going to be a different color. So
kind of give you another.
We've kind of gotten out of the habit of adding things because we don't want people to feel like, oh, I can never check out because they might add something. The only time we do add something is like if for some reason the blank manufacturer, like it just becomes limited overnight, which is what happened to that shirt. It was like there were 15,000 at the manufacturers, and then the next day there were 0.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, who ordered
15,000 larges
in that color? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
So,
Jean-Pierre Rubik.
That's a good segue. Because if you're listening, get over to the YouTube right now because you will see 2 finished Rubik's Cubes in all of their glory. I've cracked it, babe.
You did.
I've cracked
I'm proud of you.
And I feel really good about it.
It took you like what? From the day you started? Well, you started before
integrated.
Yes.
Think about this. Your sibling and his family left a week and a day ago.
Yes, I'm aware. Because I was like, wait, that was last weekend. Yeah. We recorded a day early, blah, blah, blah. I was actually thinking about that. Yeah, that's like, I don't really know what time is anymore. I mean, I just like.
What are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of know what we're doing, but I also am just like, how is it almost September?
This is Brooke walking through life right now.
Parkour. Yeah, I'm just like parkour. It's almost September, and my baby child is almost 1.
Yep.
And
what
wild. Is life? But anyway, yes.
Anyways, so I solved it.
I was trying to think of how many days did you actually work on it? Because you didn't take one on your trip.
No, I solved it once before I left for Colorado, but it was with the heavy help of Jane Rubik. And then I came back, and I could get it to where the white was solved and the bottom layer, the bottom two rows were solved. I could not get the top without going back to the video. But now I've gotten the top without going back to the video, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times.
Wow.
It feels good.
It feels like something you need to know, for sure.
It's like a cool party trick, right?
Yeah. We don't really get invited to many parties.
If we do. I don't know how many
It's true. I don't know how many parties.
Your goat's right here. Rubik's Cubes are on the table.
Yeah.
Drinks are in the kitchen.
Welcome. Welcome one, welcome all. Hey, you could just bring your own.
Just bring my own. Stuffed in my mouth.
You show up. I'm holding a casserole or a pie. They're like, what's in TJ's pocket?
But I can't let people know that I brought it. So
right. It's like going into a movie theater with candy. You know, babe, are you bringing your purse so I can stick my Rubik's Cube in it? Okay, good.
I just have to place it somewhere, and someone's like, "Oh, I didn't know you guys had a Rubik's Cube." And then the owner's like,
"I don't.
I didn't know."
You're like, "Do you need me to solve that for you?" Hand it over. Give it. I got it.
Oh man,
I got it.
Just hand it right here. Oh, you guys need me to solve this? Yeah, no problem. Give me 20 minutes in a YouTube.
Give me 20 minutes. Complete silence, everybody. Do y'all have a TV? Can I look up JaneRubix.com? Wow, what a party trick. Hey, I like the idea, though, of people being like, I have a party trick.
And I'm coming to the
party.
But
I'm bringing it on purpose. Not like it just casually shows up when we're there. No, like people show up with their hula hoops because they're like, this is my party trick.
And I never get to do it at a party.
We should have a party trick party where we invite all of our friends, but they have to bring a party trick.
I love that idea.
So they either have to learn something or they already.
First step, make some friends.
Make some more friends we can have. Okay. Back up. What time do I need to get ready to make the friends? When should I start curling my hair?
I feel like that party gets cooler. The party trick party gets cooler the weirder your friends get.
Oh, 100%.
There's a graph that some sort of shows that. Like,
yes.
You just have like normal, everyday.
Yeah. No, it's exponentially skyrocketing if you start to go down like hey, you seem kind of weird. You want to come to my party trick party?
And people who have who would come to the party trick parties are
ETP.
Yeah. Man, forget what about integrated. Let's dive deep.
I don't know if I have a party trick.
You can baton twirl. Come on, babe.
But if I knew I had to do it at a party, I would be practicing.
Yeah. Got a whole routine.
I don't think I can do a double spin anymore.
You can double spin, babe. I believe in you.
I definitely can't do a front walkover. Toss front walkover. No way.
Sore for weeks.
my
How'd you hurt yourself?
My core front and back would rip somehow.
Have you ever heard of a party trick party?
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar.
Well, they're the new craze. They're on TikTok.
For weirdos.
And so I was trying to do one, and I think mine would be the Rubik's Cube. I don't think I have any other ones.
Yeah, not really.
Man.
It's a good one to have.
Okay.
And that's why I'm like, I need to up my game.
Here's what I want. I want people to, on YouTube this week, comment with the party trick that you would do at the party. That you'd bring to the party. And we'll see, and we'll make the decision whether we invite you or not. So that is, so anyways.
I like it.
I learned, long story short,
TJ can solve
a Rubik's Cube. Brooke mixed them all up. I solved them again. I've done that 3 or 4 times. It's very satisfying to me.
I mean, obviously, I get why people love it, the puzzle of it.
But also just even when I wasn't able to solve them, I would just sit with them on the couch.
Yeah. It's like a fidget thing, but better.
So I don't know what's next. And if someone is into Rubik's Cubes, tell me what the next step is. Is there a bigger one? Or
probably.
Is there like...
It's 18 by 18. Click, click. Clack, clack.
Doesn't fit in our house or ship to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Well, it definitely doesn't ship to Hawaii. Definitely.
So I can do that now. So last week, Brooke's family left on Saturday.
Friday morning.
Wow. I left on Saturday.
You left on Saturday. Yep.
To go to Integrated, which I've talked about on the podcast before. But if you're new here, hold on, let me just... My computer keeps my laptop keeps shutting off.
Oh, you're fine.
And I just need it not to shut off. How do I do that? I go click, click, click. Oh.
I don't know, actually. How do you get an iPad not to fall asleep?
I go click, click, click.
2 minutes. There we go.
Ryan, do you really not understand how Netflix works?
I got it.
We back.
We back. So I've been a part of this group called Integrated this is the end of our 3rd year. Mm-hmm. To which I tell.
Crazy.
So it's run by Family Teams, which is run by Jeff Bethke and Jeremy Pryor. Mm-hmm. I keep telling them that we should have patches to show. First, we should have varsity jackets.
Hundo.
And then we should have patches so that we know, this guy's a legend.
I'm cooler than you.
He's been here. Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously.
If everyone wears the same thing.
If everyone looks the same and dresses the same, how do we know?
How do they know we're cool?
And so this is my 3rd year, and it has been life-changing for me. Actually, a guy that was there named Chris, when someone's like, well, how'd you hear about it? He goes, Walk in Love podcast.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And Abraham's Wallet podcast as well, which is Mark's podcast about
money.
Yeah. Which I was like, that's really cool. Brooke and I have not talked about this integrated trip at all.
No.
Because
I got like maybe 2 different text messages where you were just like dropping fire, and I was like, oh, no. Yeah. Like heart, emphasize.
And that's
that was kind of it.
Partly because her brother left, and that was the end of 19 out of 24 days of having guests, which is a lot. And we talked about that. Mm-hmm. And then the girl, June, the morning your brother left, June was like kind of stuffy and
not feeling
great. It was just like, uh-oh. Mm-hmm. And then I left the next day. And then
started not feeling great.
And so I woke up in my I took the all-nighter into Denver, and I woke up and I was like, my throat is sore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my throat hurt real bad by Friday night.
But your voice still sounds great.
I know.
So praise the Lord.
I mean, that was my text to you, because that's what happened last collection. I had my surgery. I was starting to get better, albeit very slowly, but I was. And then I got that sickness again, like double, and it just took my voice out. So I was like, no, not over collection week again.
So I got back, and then the very next day we launched the collection. Mm-hmm. So all that to say, it's been kind of a whirlwind of a week. The girls are watching a movie right now because Abby is still off island. Yeah. So I would
also like to say, this is just like the internet mom in me that needs to be like, our kids actually don't watch that much TV. But please be aware that every time I do a try on or we need to record the podcast, we save it for that. And so I feel like all we ever say is, our kids are watching a movie right now. And I'm like, okay, but that's it.
People are judging you in the comments.
Oh gosh. It's because I can't do a toss for walkover anymore, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, that's
not the screen time.
It's not the screen time. It's
my lack of twirling skills.
Toss over, triple spin.
Toss, front walkover.
Triple spin.
Oh, that would be something. That would be, I think you should spin on the front end. You should toss, spin 3 times, then do your front walkover. Because then as you're coming up out of your front walkover, you can see.
Is that like the white whale of baton twirling?
I don't know. Is that like the sunrise shell? Is that the equivalent?
Are you not on even the message boards anymore? Or?
No way. I haven't ordered baton tape in so long. I got kicked out of those things a long time ago.
So I came home. Everyone was sick, including myself. We launched the collection.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about the collection, making all the content for it, and now we're sitting down to talk about Integrated for the first time. So we'll probably
so you were saying that we didn't text much.
No.
Much. One, because I knew we were going to go over it here, and 2, because you were in bed for a while. Sick.
Yeah. So we always get in on Sunday, and we got in Sunday at like 5 a.m. Denver time, and we couldn't check in until 6 p.m. So
I knew it was a long time.
Yeah. So Ian, who also lives on Maui, he's in Integrated. So we went out to breakfast together. And so we're sitting at breakfast. First, I look up like 6 places. Ian is a very particular fella, and he's like, "Well, I don't know. What about this place?" And I'm like, Ian, I don't care where we go. I just want to go somewhere. So you just tell me, put in the GPS, and we'll go.
Yeah.
What do you think about this place? Again, let me just restate my previous statement. I don't care where we go. You just put in the GPS and we'll go. Oh, this place has good reviews. That sounds great. But it doesn't really have the right vibe. Okay. Whenever you decide, you just let me know. So eventually he decided. At one point we were driving through the hood and I was like, where did you pick us to go? But eventually we got out. We're like, there's a lot of bars on the windows around here. We got through that area. We're driving. This like old man is jogging, and Ian's like, "Whoa, look at that jogger!" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's just jogging." So we kept driving. I'll tie this in.
Okay. I was like, why does that matter?
We go into the cafe. Not as nice as it appeared to be online, which is fine. We'll just order anyway. So we order some breakfast. We're sitting outside. He's like, "Oh man, there's a dog." 5 minutes later, "Oh, a lot of dogs in this neighborhood." 6 minutes later, "Well, look, another dog." And I'm like, "Ian, have you never seen a dog before?"
Has he not been in a city in a really long time?
And he's like, "Oh, there's another jogger. Man, if you are really, what's Colorado's thing? Are they just all acting?" I'm like, "I don't."
Yeah. Again, I don't know, but put it in the GPS and we'll find out.
But very excited about the dogs. The dogs
so
and
funny.
Runners. One thing I did notice, though, is that everybody in Denver, here's what I think Denver's known for. I'm going to paint with a broad brush.
Yeah, because you have no idea what Denver's known for.
I went to school in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay, but you didn't know where Estes Park was when I said, is that near you?
Just stop.
Okay.
Who can solve Rubik's Cubes at this table?
You and Jane. Jane's here with us
exactly. Always. Jane's in our hearts.
And on our iPads.
Jean-Claude Rubik. So I don't know much about Colorado, but I'm going to paint with a really broad brush.
Okay, please
do.
So on the internet, please do.
Yeah, I mean,
people are going to love it and not be triggered at all.
Has ever gone wrong when someone just paints with a broad brush
on the internet?
On the internet, I think it's almost what we're called to do as believers. So, he asked me, "What's Colorado known for?"
Okay. Hey, what's Colorado known for?
Outdoors stuff.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Adventure.
Yeah.
Odd footwear.
Yeah, I actually think that's accurate.
Like
because I think that's swinging. That's coming from the outdoor stuff.
I feel like you're gonna find into more people with those creepy toe shoes in Colorado.
Yes, the sock foot looking things where you can see all their toes. I'm like, why?
Why?
Just why? But do you want to come to my party trick party later? Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
You're definitely inviting Toe Guy to the party trick party.
Okay.
He's got a 40-minute presentation on why you should ground your feet.
Is it Jeremy?
And so that smoking weed. I feel like Colorado is like
Yeah.
Like, you know,
They like 420.
they like, yeah.
They're real happy.
420 is counted down to
In their-
on there.
It's in their Venn diagram. Okay.
So yeah, we got outdoorsy stuff,
Weird shoes.
marijuana.
Okay.
That's pretty accurate, right?
That's it? That's the end of your broad
Yeah, I
brush?
think that's it. Oh, and they like the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like they eat a lot of granola bars.
Oh, that's outdoorsy. Yeah, that fits. Anyways, so one thing I was surprised of.
If you're from Colorado, please leave a comment on our YouTube and let us know what you think's in the Venn diagram.
Yeah.
We'll consider it.
That would be fun to do a Venn diagram on every state. Oh, speaking of, I totally forgot.
Oh.
We are creating a Walk in Love podcast Instagram.
Just
type in Walk in Love podcast. We don't have any posts, but
hey, follow us though.
Follow
it's a great
us.
idea.
Content's gonna be great. Smash the subscribe button.
Comp the merch. Hey, actually though,
yeah,
comp the merch. We're open.
We do have merch. New merch is fire. Smash that subscribe button. Anyways, we don't always feel like we can share a lot of podcast stuff on just our normal Instagram because
I feel like it's going to confuse some people.
And so we want a place to like share the inside jokes and the memes. Basically, we really want a place to share memes of the podcast. That's kind of 100%. The goal there. So
Carpet4 needs a home.
Carpet4 needs a home, and so the Walk in Love podcast Instagram, just Walk in Love podcast, is the place to do that. Anyways,
yeah.
So one thing I was surprised on in Denver, as all the dogs and people were running by, was that so many people tied their leash to their belt. Like they didn't want to hold it
while walking
or running.
Well, that must be a weird trend.
That was a weird Denver thing. Leashes to the belt.
Hey, there's a product. Belt leashes. So it's just extended.
So instead of the flap that tucks back in, it just
keeps going. So it's fully adjustable, no matter what size you or your dog is.
100 holes in
it. 3 words for you: treat,
hey,
sell.
Hey, we are on to something there.
I like it.
Oh, goodness.
Sorry, I keep coughing. Still have.
I know. I'm trying really hard not to sniff in the microphone, but I know I am.
Ian and I head away from all the dogs and the people. He's just had the time of his life. He is so excited about seeing all these people running and these dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And we head to Estes Park.
Yeah.
It's about 7:05, and we can't check in until 6 p.m. We don't know what to do. We're also like completely exhausted.
Yeah, because you just did a red eye. Like,
it's essentially like the red eye from Maui to Denver is like you get on at 8.
Maui time.
So I'm talking to just in Maui time. It's like you're flying from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
So like I don't fall asleep at 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fall asleep at 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe sometimes am asleep by 10 p.m.
Right.
But it's like you're also on an airplane. The flight was full. I had a window seat, which is nice because you get to lean.
Yeah.
But I just like, for whatever reason, could not fall asleep. So we're exhausted. Right. We drive up to Estes Park.
That's true. A true red eye all the way. You do attempt to sleep a long amount of time. Yeah. Anyway.
But, so the drive is beautiful. Colorado is really gorgeous. Like I
super beautiful. Add that into the Venn diagram.
I actually found myself thinking like, man, I think I could live here. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like, it feels like, I don't know. It's just got that sort of like wild and free vibe.
It does. Very open. I feel like a similar, not literally like, it's not going to look the same as Montana, like landscape wise.
Right.
But I feel like it's a similar vibe.
But it was really cool, really pretty. And I remember that from last year when we went, that was just like, man, this is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So we got up there and then we sleep in the car for a few hours. Because we were exhausted. 2, we had nothing to do. And then guys started showing up. So then we were like hanging out in the lobby, meeting some of the new guys, seeing some of the old guys, which is like one of my favorite parts now I've integrated, that like, it is not just like go and kind of get filled up and learn some new things. It's also like,
it's not a one-time workshop.
Yeah. I've known these guys now for 3 years. And so, I've seen them grow and do stuff. And so it's just like really cool to just like refresh and see them all. And the group is so, like it's so well run by Jeff and Jeremy that like they really protect it well. They don't let just anybody in. You got to apply, and so I feel like they have a really good pulse on the type of guy that they're welcoming in.
Yeah.
And so we're all believers, we're all business owners. We all want to build multi-generational families, you know, and we all are dads. I say that, I don't know.
No.
Or soon to be dads.
Yeah.
So we sit down, we start, and the first night is always like kind of just like hey, we're gonna hang, we're gonna get to know each other. We'll have dinner, but Jeremy's gonna give like one brief sort of session.
Yeah. Things really kick off the next morning.
Yeah.
That's just like a
that's
welcome night.
That's usually, but
oh boy,
Jeremy,
they went for it.
Just, I mean, he's so unassuming.
Yes,
like
100%.
If you would meet him, you'd be like, oh, this guy's like, you would know that he's smart right away. Like
Yes.
just by talking to him and the things that the questions that he would ask, like he's very good at having conversation. He's not awkward at all, but like very unassuming. Not the guy that you'd be like, oh, you know, I wouldn't say he has a big personality. Like Jeff Bethke has a big personality.
Yes.
You're in a room with him. You know Jeff's there.
He's very loud.
He's going to be one of the loudest people there. Jeremy's kind of the opposite side of that.
100%.
They're both introverts, which I find very interesting. Because like, oh, here's something. When we were driving up to Estes Park, we were like, let's stop at a Starbucks on the way because we need to go to the bathroom and we wanted more coffee. And Jeremy's sitting in that Starbucks that we stopped at.
Oh, nice.
And we were like, oh, hey, you know, we give him a hug. And I could tell that he was just like, I don't want to talk to people yet.
Yeah.
I am not ready.
I'm not ready.
He wasn't mean, but
Don't
I could
take
just
my coins right now.
I could just
Don't
tell
do it.
he was
I'm
like
saving them all
and
up.
so we're like, well, we'll see you up there, Jeremy. And we just left.
Yeah.
But anyways, so.
But it's good to know that because then you weren't like,
I wasn't
we ran into
offended.
Jeremy and he ignored us.
Yeah, he didn't ignore us, but I could just tell he's like, I'm going to study and I'm going to prepare. And so how I take notes at this thing is I just type out sentences that I think are helpful.
Yeah.
So as I read some of these,
I mean, that's kind of like note taking.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
yeah.
I'm not one to like, I don't know. I don't feel like I connect. Like I just like hear a thought and I'm like, oh, I like that thought.
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily.
That's fine. So you need to read it out loud and then you're going to be like, oh, I know what that meant.
Yeah. So the first talk was about vision and about expanding your to have your vision match your resources. And so the reference that he gave was if you have 10 talents, you need a 10 talent vision. If you have 5 talents, you need a 5 talent vision.
Yes.
Because like those 10 talents that we're given.
Is he talking whole life across marriage, family, and business?
Right now he's talking about specifically family.
Okay.
But I think it applies to life. Like, you know, as you and as your resources build, as your life progresses or your business succeeds or you make more money, your vision should not be the same as the 20-year-old version of yourself just starting out.
Correct.
You know, like, and so like, and when we see the parable of the talents, these guys weren't just given the one that was given the one talent and didn't do anything with it. He had no vision for that talent. And so it was taken away from him. And so like we as believers, if we're giving a certain amount of talent or resources or abundance or whatever, we need to have a vision that matches that. And I felt like pretty convicted. And we've talked about this recently is like, I feel.
You and I have talked about this.
You and I, yeah. I feel like I have had a year of, I don't know, I don't want to call it apathy, but like just, you know.
Survival, though, makes it sound like it's all really bad and really chaotic, and it's not.
I think I just had a year of like sort of wallflowering a little bit in certain aspects of my life. One of those aspects being our business. Like, you know, we moved and we had a baby and we bought a house and like we did all this stuff. And I just felt like, oh, we're just like, basically I feel like I've had a year, I'm doing the bare minimum.
Yes.
And I see that year of doing the bare minimum is not a good vision. That's not a great vision to have. And
sometimes it's all you can do. But again, how many times we said seasons have an end?
Yeah.
If it's your whole life, it's not a season.
I felt very convicted of just like, man, I feel like I need to up my leadership in the family. I need to expand our vision to match the resources that God has given us and that he will give us. And I just felt like, man, this was
because resources, it's not just money.
No.
I mean, when I think about a family's
time,
resources,
energy, talent.
Yeah.
Time, energy, talent, income. I think those are your resources. You know, energy, all that kind of stuff. And so I just like, you know, I just felt like this conviction of just like, I've felt this before. And actually there's a time at Integrated where we needed to like confess something. And that was what I confessed. I was like, I just feel like I've been in a season of apathy, sort of lethargic. And I know that the Lord has given me abilities that I shouldn't be that way. Like I need to step up my game.
Yeah, you're not naturally like that.
No. And I've just like, even the other day, someone asked me what I was reading on Instagram, and I took a photo of the book that I've been reading for like 3 months, because I'm just like not,
Right.
I don't know. I'm not grabbing the, what's the
I
phrase?
don't know. I'm just kidding.
Grabbing
Yeah.
the horns. Not grabbing the old
I'm
big
not grabbing
horns.
any horns.
I don't have any horns to grab. I'm hornless.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
And so these were some sentences that I typed out. Expanding your vision to match your resources.
Mhm.
The guy with the 10 talents needed a 10 talent vision. It's not okay to have a 1 talent vision.
Mm.
We have to, and this one was really good. We have to calibrate according to what the king has given us, not the people around us. And I was just like, oof. Like, 'cause
Sorry, read that one more time.
we have to calibrate according to what the king has given us, not to the people around us.
Oof.
And so
That'll get me.
That'll get you.
That'll get me
I actually
especially.
thought of you when he said that. I was like,
You're like,
oh, I'm going to text this to Brooke.
In your
Like,
notes, send to Brooke. Print on her pillowcase.
buy a machine that prints on pillowcases.
We have that. It's called a Cricut. Actually, the Cricut doesn't print, but anyway, it'll do the heat press that I can put on
Okay.
there.
And so I was just like, man, that is so good and so challenging.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, and I feel like what the main place that I feel that in my own life is like, walk in love has been, I'm sorry I sound so nasally.
I know, it's okay. Do you need to like sneeze or take a big sniff? Just back up from the, or do you need a tissue?
I think I need a tissue.
I can get you toilet paper out of the
Okay, yeah.
bathroom.
Why waste time? Say lot word when few word do trick.
That's the thing. We come back with always an audio clip.
Okay.
And so, yeah, we have to calibrate to according to what the king has given us, not to the people around us. And I do feel like there's a lot of time where it's like we either downplay what we're doing around other people so that we feel like we're not trying to make them feel bad.
Yep.
And then we do that. Like I think there's some tact conversationally to do that.
Right.
But
It's
I
not
think-
always a terrible thing.
No, but I think what that conversation ends up turning into is
yeah.
decisions,
Exactly.
choices.
If it's just like a sentence here or there because, you don't want to,
Yeah.
whatever, ruffle any feathers or something, that's fine. But like, I know for me, I end up living small because I don't want to make anybody feel anything. And I end up really looking left and right, like sometimes very literally and nearby. And I just feel it's a lot more in Pennsylvania because I knew so many people there. I knew people across the street. I knew my actual neighbors.
Yep.
And I would feel like, I don't know, I don't want to make them feel anything. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to fully step into this or this.
My creativity, my passion,
Right,
my desire, like the desire the Lord has put on my heart, like any of that kind of stuff. And I would say that like us moving to Hawaii has really been a big kind of like breakthrough on that front of just like, wow. And I use the painting example all the time. Is like, I never would have painted in Pennsylvania ever.
I do think that
I
there's
don't
a lot of
believe
truth to
I
that.
ever would have. And I think that there's, maybe an episode way in the future about literally your geographical location and how that might affect how you're following the Lord. Not to say that, I'm not implying that people have to move or anything like that, but
Yeah.
maybe,
Right.
do you like adventure? Do you wear shoes?
Do you love
Do you
granola
smoke
bars?
weed?
Hey, Colorado might be for you.
And so, yeah, so then I wrote, what's the big vision? We need to think about it now. And that was another big thing that he talked about. It's like, you need to prepare. You need to have the vision before the resources. The
Yes.
Lord
so you can
is-
step into it and you're ready to go.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of people will talk about like, oh, I'll tithe and give offering when I have more money. And it's like, well, if you don't
Yes.
do it when you have a little, you won't do it when you have a lot. And so there's just an element of practice and just like practicing having vision, I think is something that we should be practicing. What's the vision for my family, for my relationship with my wife, for my relationship with my kids, for my business? Like there are a lot of places in life to have vision. And I think
I love that.
and I think there are times where we end up showing up with resources and talent and we're just like, oops, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah,
and then you end up
again,
making
it's
bad decisions.
all back to the like, okay, so now we're just reactive instead of proactive.
Yeah.
And it's not that all reactive is always terrible, but it's very hard for living completely reactively to be all headed in the same direction towards vision.
So then Jeremy
Mm.
gave 10 examples of expanding your vision.
Ooh, okay. You wrote down all 10?
All 10.
Wow.
And he was just like, this is from a family perspective.
Okay.
And this is definitely geared towards men who run their own businesses. And
Okay.
so like there are some caveats, but I think that they could
So
apply
we might spark
to
some
any
questions.
Christian family. I think.
Okay.
I think there are a few. And he was like, 9 of these might be a no for you. Like, I'm not telling you that you need to do any of these 10.
Yes. They're
but
just
these are just examples that the Lord, I think, historically you've seen people do this.
Okay.
And I think that these are a great way for families to like have mission, because
grab the horns.
to grab the horns. Because like I think one of the things that drives Jeff and Jeremy crazy is that the family has become way too individualistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that by the time you're an adult, you have no relationship with your siblings or your parents or your aunts or your uncles, and you're basically just an individual.
Yeah,
and
it's just all about you and what your life
so
and your
that
dreams.
Has broken down culture over the years and years and generations of that happening.
Yeah.
And so one way to not let your family just become a group of individuals living in the same house is to have a family vision and a family mission. And so, Family Teams has a ton of great resources on that, but like, this is the perspective in which he's sharing these 10 examples.
Okay.
And we'll probably do these 10 examples and then we'll call it a day for today.
Yeah.
I've literally gotten through no lessons.
No,
because
this is our podcast.
This is
our podcast. And this is what I love is that like when you were at Colorado, which I was calling Austin, Texas, by the way, because my friend Brittany's like, I think you probably know where your husband is, but I think he's in Colorado. And I was like, oh, 100%. He definitely is. Thank you. Anyway, I just like while I was posting the try-ons and stuff, I could see messages coming in about like so excited for these next few episodes.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be fire. And it's true because like you bring home all this stuff and then we literally unpack it and it kind of starts to reach its little tentacles.
Yeah, it's like this.
Is that weird? It's integrated
it'd
tentacles.
be weird if you said testicles, but you said tentacles.
I said tentacles. Loud and clear. I said it. But
so
roots? Okay, maybe I should call them roots. Ripples?
Yeah.
They just...
You said ripples.
They go on.
Not nipples.
Anyway, okay.
So the nipples and testicles of what Jeremy said.
Yes, here we go.
So these are 10 examples of expanding vision. And again, he was kind of going quick, so I
You typed an even
typed
quicker
as
version?
quick as I could. Like, because the first one I don't think makes a ton of sense to me.
That's right. You don't have to read all 10.
No, this makes sense. So like, he's like, number one, a ministry dial. Like, are you a minister? Like, are you just like, is there a path of ministry that your family is on? Whether you're ministering to a certain region or a certain people, or like you want to plant churches or whatever. And he's like, and sometimes like
you're sorry, a dial. That's what you said?
Ministry dial. Because what he said was like,
yeah.
There have been times in my life where the ministry dial is turned all the way up. Like we are just, our family is focused on ministry.
This one
right
goes
now.
to 11.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, oh, we actually now need to work more.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to turn the dial back towards work so that in the future we have more time to minister. And he's like, so I have played with this dial and
acknowledge that
there is a dial.
Is there a dial?
Yeah,
there is a dial.
Because I think a lot of times, especially in like evangelical Christian culture, is like you just have to be a minister. Like you just have to preach the gospel all the time. Like
we're in
no
ministry
matter what.
all the time.
Yeah, and there's no like, and if you do anything else, you're not fully stepping into your calling. And I think that there can be a lot of shame. And Jeremy talked about this later in the week. He's like, for 10 years, I thought that because I wanted to run a business, I was like not following
fully
the Lord
Jesus
as well as someone who was the pastor of a church. And I think a lot of people, I do think that pendulum has shifted, and there definitely are a lot of thought leaders and ministers.
It's
that
not
like,
as shamey as it used to be.
As it used to be, like, and even within our generation, I've never felt like any sort of shame about not being a pastor or anything like that.
Right.
Like, but for my dad, which is like, kind of, he's older than Jeremy, but like that kind of generation, I think there was that, like, what, should I even have a family type conversation of like, or should I just be like Paul? And so I really like that language of like, where are we turning this dial?
Well, I think we have about 15 dials in our life. I'm like, I got all these dials for all these different categories, and that's going to be a helpful thing. Like, which one are we turning up to 11 right now?
Right. Number 2, and again, these are 10 examples of expanding vision.
Okay.
Specifically for family. Number 2, bigger families. If I find myself with more resources, is God calling me to grow my family?
Hmm.
And he's talking to a group where like probably the average person has 4 kids,
Right.
like, and so it's just like there were a couple guys who were like, yeah, amen. I'm like, it's like 7 kids. And I'm just like, whoa.
Adam Busby's like,
he's like, yeah,
how many more?
I'm done. Number 3, adopt a city. Ask the Lord if there's a city somewhere in the world that God is calling you your family to bless. And Jeremy talked about this at a few Integrateds ago, where his family adopted Israel, and so they would live there 3 months out of the year. I love that idea, so much. And I do think he talks about like there's definitely an age range where this works really well, and it's not with little kids,
right?
He's like, I think our youngest was 5 when we started doing it, and so like
out of every year, or just for like a period of years, they're there for time.
They did it for a period of years.
Right, because I was going to say, they're not going 3 months out of every year now.
No, they do still go back because they have a lot of relationships there. But like, like, is God calling you to like, spend time in part of the world or part of a state or, like, it's just kind of a cool idea. And again, these were just his, like, this might be you.
Take it or leave it, but
Number 4, I loved the most. And I don't think it's our calling, but I just love the grandness of it.
Okay.
Build a city.
Right.
And so he was like, I'll give you an example. Disneyland.
Right.
Walt Disney wanted a place that expressed his internal values. And so he went out and built it. Now, has it digressed from some of those values? Absolutely. But that was the original intent of Disneyland. Or that was like the original intent of Epcot. Like if you read about Disney, like he wanted like people to literally be able to live in this world that he created. Or, with Disneyland and Disney World, it was like more like, I want you to be able to escape the world that you're known to and step into a world filled with my vision and values and be able to like do that. And I just like, I don't know, there's just something so cool about it. And another,
I mean, it's not for everybody.
100%. Like that takes
both
massive,
calling and
resources.
Like it's not for everybody.
But like, I know that Dude Perfect is trying to do it.
Yeah.
And they are, because I heard an interview with Tyler Tony.
Yeah.
That, and apparently on their live tour, they kind of give a pitch for it. And I basically ask, are there any billionaires out in this audience?
Oh my goodness. So that literally gives me goosebumps. Yeah.
So they're trying to build a Disneyland level type of, nice plug.
Thanks.
Use the code hot dog. Dude Perfect is trying to build a Disney level style of experience in Texas or
I think Texas, but I don't know.
And it's just like that is the vision to build a city.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like, so that was really cool because like he gave the example of Disneyland and he's like, this is kind of a hard one. There's not a lot of examples, and I like raised my hand.
Oh, Hershey.
And I was like, well, yeah, Hershey's another one.
Oh, I was like,
but I was like, Dude Perfect's trying to do it. Like modern day, there's not a lot because Walt from start to end of Disneyland, it took him 2 years.
Jeez,
like
think about
you can't even get a land survey in that time now. Like our world has become much more.
For as fast as it moves in some ways, other stuff's way harder.
Yeah, and so.
That's what Milton Hershey did.
Yeah, Milton Hershey.
We used to live near that, and
and
every time we would go, I would be like, "Let's go to the museum," which is not something I say a lot because I would walk out of it feeling like, man, business is a place for ministry and mission and like such an incredible mission field, and that's why I'd be like, "Let's walk through and get all amped up." Also, they give us free chocolate,
so definitely worth it. Also, the Baton Museum, I'd go to that. I go to the Jean-Claude Van Damme Rubik Museum. Okay,
you dissolve it to get in.
Yeah.
No one gets in.
Goes under.
Ah!
I would get in, babe. See you, family. I'm out.
I know.
I'm in. It's like pre-TSA. He had mocked me every time he went through.
You tried.
Number 5, solve a major problem. If you find that there is a problem in this world that really bothers you, that might be your specific problem to solve. And like, Jeremy and Jeff used the example of like the family. That was the problem that they just felt like, man, we might not be able to solve some of these issues, but we can certainly put our effort and time and energy towards it. And it's like when we sit in that group, there's like 40 guys in this group. There's probably, 400 kids in this group now. Or no.
No, but if you think about like all the layers of their family and all that, you start thinking generationally and all this stuff, like
not 400.
No, I know what you're trying to say.
120.
Yes, the ripple of even just that room.
Yeah. And so that's just a good question to be on your minds and your hearts as a family, is like, and just for us, like, is there a problem that really bugs us? And is there something that we need to solve? And I would say that, like, the initial thing that popped into my head is like,
The dog leashes? No. Sorry.
the belt dog leash combo does really bother me. Like, why not just make it one product? So, back of the money truck.
Barky belts.
Not
Anyway.
better than carpet board, but yeah.
No,
like,
but it's close.
It's close. It's getting there. Is like, I think you and I often feel like Christians specifically are pretty joyless creatures. And
Unfortunately,
so,
yes.
Unfortunately. And so I think, that's one problem that we have used our talent and resources to try to solve.
Yeah.
Like, we just try to be encouraging and make people laugh, or remind them that, like, hey, choose joy, walk in love. Like, those are things that we want to help with. And so, like, I think everybody,
those are things that as a believer, we've been given the fruits of the Spirit. And so we've been given the resources already. Yeah. They've been handed to us.
And there are people, there's so many causes obviously out there now. And so you see believers, really getting behind one or supporting one. And I think often the trick there, the struggle there is, like, often believers think that you need to be as passionate about the problem they want to solve as they are.
Yes.
And I think that's where we need to show some grace and just be like, no, this is
if that's your specific thing to solve and go after, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's not the same for us.
And that's okay. Like, because we're one body and we're trying to, bring heaven to earth in a lot of different ways. So that was really cool. Number 6 was release your spouse. Sometimes when your resources go beyond your vision, it might be your wife's calling to fulfill, instead of, like, and so, he's talking to men, and he's like, like, they entered a phase of life, his kids are older, where, like, April, his wife, had a ton more time. And so he's like, well, what do you want to do? She wanted to open a sewing studio.
Yes.
And so they built this sewing studio and opened it. And then I think she gifted it to Kelsey when she got married as a wedding gift. And so it's like that, those resources, because,
so cool.
There's obviously more of a response. The kids are just by default more of your responsibility, literally at the beginning, because you have to feed them.
Oh, you mean me? You're talking to me. Yeah. I mean,
so there becomes a time where it's like,
the case.
Where it's like, okay, now they can wash themselves, feed themselves, bathe themselves. You now have more time on your hands.
Yeah.
Like, is there a calling that you want to step into? And so I thought that one was really encouraging. You could see a lot of guys kind of being like, because there are definitely guys who have older kids. You could just see, especially those guys, like, their wheels turning.
Yes.
Where it's like right now, we just talked about being in survival mode. So it's like, we don't really have.
We're not really there, no.
Number 7, build Rivendell. So Jeremy is a huge Lord of the Rings fan. And so let me see if I wrote. I'm just going to read what I wrote. A lot of people are called to build 2 spaces. One is their own household where their values are fully expressed. And he said, I like when guys start to do really weird things to their property. That shows that their family they're fully invested in family.
Okay. I didn't know if you were going to get here today. I'm into this.
And I quote, I have ruined the resale value on my house because of my devotion to my family. And I just, like, I don't know. There's something that's just like that.
I get what he's saying. I get the big umbrella. I think it can look different for different people and different families, but sometimes we have this janky rope that we throw over our staircase and, like, to reach down, and the girls like to tie a basket to it and they pull it up. And I said to you, like, 2 days ago, I said, I would actually hang a little pulley right there so we could do that for real.
Like,
and then that's when you were like,
Jeremy would love that.
Yes.
And he said, and I really like this one because I feel like this is sort of the conversation of, like, what it'd look like if Jesus lived in your home. Because he's like, what are the square inches of your house for? And I just love that sort of language around, like, okay, especially, like, when you consider buying something, like, is this going to bring my family together and allow us to achieve our mission? Is this going to add value to Rivendell, or is it going to destroy the beauty of Rivendell? And, like, I just love that sort of language, specifically around purchases. And then just, I don't know, I just felt like it was really kind of inspiring of just, like,
Well, I love that. And I don't know what I was just listening to. Oh, yeah, I do. A Sally Clarkson episode. And somewhere in there, she was talking about, and in this section in my bookcase, and her phone's like ringing in the
Yeah.
background, and her phone's, but like she's just, it's like she sits down in the middle of her garage and hits record. It's the best thing. So her dog's barking, and anyway, and so she's talking about it. She's like, and on this bookshelf, I have all these pictures of my kids and all my grandkids. And then she was talking about how valuable it is to have photos of your kids still hanging in your home, because like her kids are grown, her kids have kids. She's like, but I have these things here because this shows them like we were connected when we were young. We're still connected.
Yeah.
We are this family. And so I'm getting there. I'm looping that in by saying I've heard people who are not only afraid to hang pictures on their wall because they're afraid they're going to do it wrong,
Right.
but also, well, I don't want to put a bunch of holes here. I don't want to do this
Yeah.
here because when we have to resell it, or we'll have to repaint it,
Yeah.
and that's what you're
Yeah.
saying.
It's like, well,
It's
your
like-
family is the mission of your family, and the almost the home
our
base, like the
mindset
base
should be-
camp of your
yes.
family should feel like a place where they can recharge and regroup, however
Yes.
that looks like, so that they can go back out and be on mission.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I just was like, I've
Yes.
kind of unleashed Brooke now. I'm just like, do it, babe.
Yeah.
Whatever you got,
Yeah.
let's go for it. We just can't get rid of the compass because we can't afford floor.
On the
but
floor. No, it's okay, guys. I
something's
have a
coming.
plan.
Something's
I have a
coming.
plan for the compass that's on our
okay,
floor.
number 8 was free other families. Churches, like, we have time and energy. Like once you start your own business,
Mhm.
he's talking to business owners. You then have more time, and so like, are there investments that you can make into other family businesses to free more families within the church?
Oh,
to-
I see.
to
I
have
see. Okay.
more resources, more time, more energy, all that kind of stuff. And so that one was
Mm.
really cool. Just like, can you then become a bank for Christian believing businesses that want to expand the kingdom?
Yeah.
And it's like that. And then imagine the ripple effect of
That's
that.
very cool.
Number 9, which I thought was really interesting, was patronize the arts. And he's like, think about The Chosen and the impact it's had on culture and
Oh, The
believer-
Show.
The Chosen.
Yes. Mhm.
And that is someone believing in the arts,
Oh,
believing
yes.
that this is worth the time, energy, money,
Time, talent,
yeah,
finances,
all
all
that
of
kind
it.
stuff, to make, because arts produce culture,
Yes.
which produce arts, which produce culture. And so
Yes.
we as believers should be involved in that conversation.
Mhm.
And
Ooh, I love that.
so, yeah, that was just like,
I mean, that's no surprise to me that I love
Yeah.
that, but I'm just like, yes.
and so he
adding
said,
that
when
to my
there's an
pillowcase.
explosion of art and beauty and culture in a culture, it explodes in a huge way. And just like that can have just such a huge effect.
Mhm.
And he's The Chosen as an example, which I thought was like
Its
a really
tentacles will go far.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the last one was thought leader support. So like bringing other people to, like, he's like, this is an example of that. Like,
Mhm.
you guys are all leaders and business owners and in different industries and different parts of the world, but we can come together and kind of like amp each other up.
Think
and
tank it. Yeah.
Think tank it,
Mhm.
and just like be a place where then we can go home to your, one of the languages that we used a lot over the weekend was like, we're basically dukes for King Jesus. And so like, a duke would have his castle on the outside of the kingdom, and he'd be responsible for keeping the kingdom safe,
Mhm.
taking new ground, seeing
Mhm.
who's coming in, all that
Right.
kind of stuff. And so it's like, as a believer, you're not the king. You're
Mhm.
you're just you're a duke in the kingdom. And so
Yeah.
you are responsible for taking new ground. And some of that
Mhm.
might be in ministry, some of that might be in business, some of that might be through family. There's a million different ways that God has given us to be able to do that kind of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And so like, but it can be lonely out there in your castle,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you either need to bring other dukes together. Like, there's just
Build
like,
a big enough castle to.
it was just like cool language to
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
be like,
yeah.
okay, yeah, like, and I, Brooke will attest to this. Integrated is my easiest yes of the year.
Yeah.
No matter the time, no matter if we have a collection coming out the day I get back or anything,
Yeah.
it is just so fulfilling and good. And it's just like, man, I'm just so thankful for it.
It's worth all of your resources.
Yeah,
Your time, your
100%.
energy, your finances, all of
Yeah.
it. It's an easy yes. Yeah.
And Brooke and I actually have something as number 10 that we're working on, of just like bringing people together that we're
Mhm.
currently. And honestly, I feel like you can do that in different scales. So like integrated is like a big scale where we're literally physically like, I feel like the podcast is kind of that, where it's like,
Mhm.
we're doing this, we're bringing these ideas that we found, and we're talking about them, and then we're giving you guys language to talk about them.
Mhm.
And so like, there's just like a lot of different ways to do that. yeah, so those were
Wow, those are good. Can you put those questions in the show notes?
like just copy and paste this.
Copy paste your like. So
Yeah.
if people want to ask them to a spouse or talk about them or have them, they're written somewhere.
Yeah, and it says when you find, and this is kind of the closing. When you find yourself with a calling and a young family, you have to be creative in the way that you chase these callings. And I felt a lot of like kind of grace in that. That it's just like
1,000%.
yeah, you know, we're using a TV so that we can have this podcast, and
Yes.
like, you know,
Yeah.
there's just sometimes you got to do that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, or you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Or yeah, it's so different for everybody. But when they are young and you're like, okay, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this right now, or I'm called to do this right now, like sometimes you have to bring them along.
Yeah.
Or you have to,
or
I don't
it
know,
just
you just, like-
or you just move slower than you
yes.
thought it would.
Sometimes the creative thing is that like, I'm still going to do it. It's just going to take me 4 weeks.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And so so that was the first night. So it was just like, golly,
Ugh. That's good stuff.
yeah. And so so
Mm.
we'll kind of unpack this stuff as I go. I don't think each talk will be a whole episode,
Right.
But
Yeah.
that one I definitely felt like just, man, what a powerful sort of like what is my family's vision?
Yeah.
What you know, when we do have resources, or when we get to that point of 10 talents, will I have a 10 talent vision ready?
Mm.
Will I be ready to partner with the Lord?
Have I been praying over and, thinking about
Yeah.
and fasting over,
Yeah.
like, a 10 talent vision? I don't know. I have not.
Yeah.
Certainly.
And so,
Yeah.
and I just felt like a little bit of conviction of just like the bare minimum is not enough. Jesus did not call me to do the bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
for my life.
Right.
You know, in a season when I'm surviving, is that okay? Absolutely. Is there grace there? 100%.
Mhm.
But there comes a point where that season needs to end, and
Mhm.
almost like I need to close the door on that season. And be
Hard.
like, you're over.
Yeah.
I am done with you.
Be gone.
TJ's going to grab some horns. All right.
Too far!
Well, that's it for today's episode.
Yeah.
The collection is still live. The Speak Life collection. Brooke and I are both wearing new items. I got to say that this style of long sleeve, which is this
Yes.
one and the lilac one,
Mhm.
is so nice.
It's so nice.
The midweight tee that we've released in this collection, they're fantastic. Like they just
You have
have
it, it's right
that
here.
sort of anything that says like midweight vintage wash. They just have sort of this like it's been worn 100 times kind of feel,
Yes.
but
In a good way.
in a good way, and it just fits right. So, yeah, I recommend everything that we sell, but
I know. Because
There's
we,
always-
we really don't sell anything. Because if we get a sample of something and I'm like, I wouldn't wear this,
Yeah.
we never sell it.
yeah, you never see the light of day. So yeah, collection is live. You can use the code Brooksright or Hot Dog to save a little extra as a way to support Brooke and I and this podcast, because we don't do all those things that I explained at the beginning. And if a t-shirt's not in your budget this time, and you still want to support, we do have that $10 digital download,
Yeah.
which would go a long way.
Yeah.
So
And I won't judge you if you want to download it and then text 1 or 2 to a friend.
not at all. No
Say,
judgment there.
Thought about you when I
Yeah.
saw this wallpaper. Add it on your phone.
Smart. That's just smart.
That's just smart stuff.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for making us a part of your week.
Okay, I love you. Bye.